All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for taking your time out to share your light and your journey for my Faith and Finesse Mastermind series. Everyone, this is the founders of Think Global, Miss Janine and Megan. They are a ball of fun, business, and accountability. Miss Accountability Partner. But yeah, so for my birthday month, it's Precious Appreciation Month. It's a national holiday. You know, a lot of people may not know about it, but you can Google it. So yeah, every month I like to show my appreciation, not for myself, but for my journey. And this year I decided to invite some friends along the journey to just give people insight and encourage them, as well as, you know, just give them tips and strategies. I think it's important for us to share and be transparent real time. That way we have more people making success and progress quicker. You know, I don't think we should be 40 sitting on our beaches like, okay, y'all, this is what I did. I'd rather us do it now. So yeah, so I would love for you ladies to, you know, just introduce yourselves real quick, give them some insight. But wait, I'm sorry, let me start off with a moment of gratitude. God, thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for waking us up this morning. We're so happy and grateful to be a part of this conversation. And I pray that everyone leaves with this conversation for what they need in order to just take that next step forward. Please give us the strength. And I know for sure that this will end a victorious year, and just allow us to just keep pushing through the pain to our purpose. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
So, yes, yeah, you can give us a brief introduction about you two ladies, your partnership, and Think Global, so everyone kind of has a good foundation.
All right, so I'll start. My name is Megan, obviously, and I'm one of the co-founders of Think Global. Janine and I started our company. Well, we started working together as business partners, I think 4 years ago now. We were a pop-up concept where we were focusing on women only. So we would host these pop-up co-working days in the Bay Area. For anyone that doesn't know the Bay Area, meaning Tampa Bay, like St. Petersburg, Florida. That's where we originally started. Fast forward, we wanted to really create a business that impacted our community, meaning Black minority communities. And so that's what led us to Miami, Florida, to open up Think Global.
That's it. I second that.
That's what happened.
That's pretty much what happened. That's it.
Right. Well, cool. I mean, well, let's go ahead and get into the journey, because I think business partnerships are absolutely beautiful. They're amazing. And finding someone that you can go in business with, I mean, it's your baby. Like, y'all are deciding to birth something together. So what was that decision-making process of like, girl, let's do this? Like, what were some of the conversations that y'all had leading up to officially becoming business partners and really starting this journey together?
I think that we both were in an area where we struggled in different areas. And so from that, we just started meeting up for coffee every day to hold us accountable for doing the work that we had to do on our individual businesses. We were talking to each other, and then we were like, we could really do this for other women and other people. And Megan and I are always searching for the next opportunity of how we can make that impact. And at the moment, St. Pete didn't have any female-owned co-working spaces or female-centric. So that was just kind of how we started. And the more we started talking about what we both wanted out of life, like our history, our families, that's when we realized that it was just a great fit.
Makes sense. Trying to meet the demand. There was something missing.
Always. There's always a problem that has to be solved. If there's no problem, then you're not really like, it's hard to kind of work towards something. So we both were very solution oriented. And that's what just kind of led us in realizing that we were on the same page mentally, and long term, we both had the same big picture goal.
Right.
I think when it comes to just identifying the alignment of long term, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. I have seen a lot of partnerships kind of go on like an impulsive thing of like, we're both passionate about the same thing, but you know, passions, they alter, and you know, making an account to know if this is something that can be sustainable. I'm glad you guys thought about that in the beginning. And then I think some of the themes I'm seeing in my masterminds too are that people are really just creating through, they were experiencing a problem or issue and they decided to create a solution, and it ended up helping other people as well as themselves. So I think that's pretty dope that all of that is connected. And so with this pivot of going into the co-working space, so this is a new industry, right? Because
relatively,
yes and no.
It's
I'm
been
like, what
around
market research is out there for you to even be like, you know, because I feel like you're kind of building the plane while you're in the air as well, considering it's so new. So what were some of the new discoveries? Like once you guys made that pivot, what were some of the things that you did to like really make sure that this was the right decision?
You mean the pivot from like pop-up to like actual brick and mortar?
Yeah.
I would say, well, when you say honest, the industry is, I would say, still relatively new, or the idea of working remotely, which now based on the climate of the entire world, people are realizing like, okay, you can work remotely.
Yeah.
I don't know how new that concept will be after, you know, this pandemic ends. But I would say one of the things that we realized was that when it comes to co-working spaces, people don't want to be at the space 5 or 7 days a week. Like they don't want to. So we really wanted to come up with the concept that really catered to the lifestyles of the people that like the freedom of remote working. So doing away with the private offices and the conference rooms was important to us, because it just showed that, you know, people just want a place to pop up sometimes, host a meeting, and get some work done a couple days a week or maybe 3 times a week, and then also be able to connect to like-minded individuals and have the resources available that they need in order to grow their business or to connect with someone that they need a connection to.
Yes.
Right.
So I know in Houston, so I know I was originally, I'm from Houston, but I've also lived in New York. I've lived in LA. When I came back and moved to Houston, I just saw WeWork like taking off. I was like, I just see how the industry of entrepreneurship is pivoting altogether, in the sense of people are working from home, but people also want to get outside of home. And some of us don't have that specific office space or that designated workspace. And so I also think being in community is a big part of it. And so when you guys decided to put Think Global together, like what were some of the things you thought about for, because I'm sure you had to think about the pain points of entrepreneurs in order to really be able to give them the solutions that they need. So what were some of the pain points you discovered? Because essentially you guys are part of their pivot and really trying to like take their business or whatever dreams or goals they're working on to the next level.
Absolutely. I would say 2 of the major pain points. One is somebody to facilitate connections for them. That's something that WeWork didn't do. That's something that a lot of our competitors didn't or don't do. And it's because they think that the space is just a space and it should be run as such. And while a lot of people in the industry, meaning in entrepreneurship or just remote work, while that may work for some of them, for the people that we wanted to serve and for the people who needed it the most, that did not suffice. And so I would think that the major pain point was that facilitation of connection. And then the second major pain point was for sure that flexibility and that freedom to be in a rather affordable environment where you can pop in and pop out, like Megan said, whenever you wanted. Part of the pain points that many of our people face was that the spaces like WeWork, while they're gorgeous, dope, have beer, have all this stuff, were great, they were unrealistic for the startup budget. Like $500, $600, $700 for flexible workspace is not realistic. And so that's where we really honed our model and decided to do under $100, at least for our first founding members, and $87 per month. So it's like, okay, one of our friends compared it to like going to brunch on the weekend, you know, $87 really isn't a lot when you think about it. And so to kind of sum that up, though, I would say those were the 2 major pain points that a lot of our people faced. And that's what we took from other organizations and, you know, recreated it within our concept.
Right. And then I think the other thing was, the obvious issue for problem that we wanted to solve was that these spaces are not in minority communities.
Right.
If you look across the entire country, They're typically in your downtowns or your upper class neighborhoods, but in Black and brown communities, they just do not offer resource hubs such as a co-working space.
Right.
That is a really great point. I know I've seen like libraries, you know.
Yes, rec centers.
Community centers, like.
But not like a really dope, cool vibe where you can like really connect. And, you know, so I think facilitating connection with that being the core of you all's business, like, I think that's a really big value proposition that you guys have and what's really going to allow you to be sustainable in the long run. So as we know, this pandemic and, you know, we're all having to shift and pivot within this. So how have you all, you know, used your faith and finesse to get through this quarantine time? Because you're a physical space. And so I'm sure you guys had to have that call or that meeting of like, okay, girl, what are we about to do? Because
we have it every day.
Those calls
every day.
And those meetings, those every day, every minute. We're like,
I love to be a fly on the wall to see like, because I'm sure, I mean, entrepreneurship's not easy. So what were some of those emotions that y'all experienced? So like conversations
that we're experiencing?
I'm like, Megan, like, should I go first or who's supposed to go first?
Girl, you go. You spill tea.
Give us the tea, Megan. Give us the real.
I mean, well, through entrepreneurship, you're going to experience every single emotion there possibly is. There's nothing you're not going to experience, but I think it's just important to obviously realize it's just a season, or it could be just a moment.
Right.
And you just have to continuously push through it. But I mean, through this pandemic, I've been very anxious. I wouldn't say I'm so much worried about the longevity of the business once we come out of it. It was just just moving through these next 3 months, just based off of what we're going through, like with landlord situation and stuff like that, has just been stressful on our ends. And then also given the fact that Janine and I, although social media may seem like it's we have been open, but we haven't officially opened our business.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has been word of mouth, and Janine and I just literally putting ourselves out there as much as we can. And so we haven't had that moment of just like, we opened.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been these,
Girl.
it's always been these moments of like, okay, how do we get through this? Okay, we have this problem, we just got through it. Okay, now we keep on hitting these road bumps, and it's just like, okay, we're getting through it. So it's funny because we joke about like, what about if our grand opening isn't till 2021?
Yeah.
Which could very much so be the case.
Oh Lord Jesus, no, please God.
Maybe at the end of the year, not necessarily 2021. But I mean, I know I can see that you all are like figuring out different ways on how to connect and engage with the community and like
we have to
see how you guys can be able to just make it different. And I think and just for some of you guys that don't know, when you are launching a business, there's a thing called like a soft launch season where you're kind of testing things out, seeing what works, what doesn't work. And then you have like the official launch where you may put some paid marketing or advertising behind it to really, really draw that traffic. And so, Janine, so what are your thoughts in like you guys getting creative just from a content perspective? I think that was an absolutely great move to do.
Right.
Because I'm just learning more about you guys and more about just the value that you guys offer.
Right. Thank you for that. So I think for us, we have always known in the pit of our souls that we are the face of our company. And so with the Doyen company, with our female pop-up co-working concept, that was what drew the women out. And we were constantly putting content, which is why our company grew so quickly. I mean, it grew from 10 to 150 women in a span of 3 months. But it was because we were being creative and just being ourselves on camera, despite what people would be like, oh, that's unprofessional or blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So to your question, right now, it's actually given us a lot of freedom to start being creative again and start just being vulnerable and connecting with people. Whereas we were very hesitant that because we are going into Black-owned communities or predominantly Black and brown communities, and then also wanting to be a force within the Black community, we thought that it was like cliche for two Black women to be running it. And not in a sense of like, we didn't want to be the face, but basically in a sense of like, it's cliche, right? But after doing a lot of this content, we're realizing that people are truly wanting to see more of us, and they're wanting to connect on a deeper level with us. And I think that has been a very rewarding thing of COVID, is that we get to be ourselves again, like just like out there and not really have much hesitation about what we say. And so I would say that that's one of the coolest things that has popped up through this COVID and through our content, is just rediscovering that it's fun to be creative. And that
yes. You make a great point, because I tell people, I'm like, this is the time where you just like test any types of content, like just put stuff out. Like the expectations, they're little to none. Like no one's really caring about the grid. I mean, of course we all want to keep our aesthetics, but this is the time where you like, let me try this, let me try that. And so I've had a few clarity calls with a few different entrepreneurs, and they're still sitting there stuck on content strategy. And they're like, should I do this or should I do this? And my answer to them, I was like, do it all. Right. This is the time to like do it all, see what people resonate with, and then you pivot from there. And I think, you know, how things were pre-pandemic, we were very much concerned about like, how does this look? How is this going to, how are they going to respond to this? And we're like, kind of like on eggshells. It's a lot, just even being a Black owner, a Black business owner, and wanting to build a professional brand. You're not wanting to get that like label, but you're wanting it to be known that, yeah, we're Black women running this. And so how has the community been receptive to you, you know, making that statement and making your stamp in the community?
I think that, I mean, now people are pretty much used to us because we're not going anywhere. But before it was a bit of a struggle, and it could just be Miami. I'm not sure about other cities because I haven't lived in that many cities. So in Miami in particular, like they're just very territorial. And now that we've been there for a year, I understand why, because there are a lot of not so honest people. And
hey, Reese.
Who wants to be a part of the conversation?
She does. Do you want to be a part of the conversation, Reese? Okay. No, she just wanted to
follow Reese on TikTok.
Yes, Reese, your TikTok
Reese better come plug her TikTok.
It's Supcat2200.
Okay, so we need to follow Reese on TikTok.
But so anyway, so now that we have been in Miami, obviously people are receptive to us now, but before it wasn't that way. And now I do see why people weren't. They're just, in Miami, there's just a lot of not so honest people, like I said.
Scammers.
And, yeah, scammers.
Scammers. Okay, I'm seeing the dynamic here. She's like, yeah, there's not so many honest people. And then Janine's like,
which is normally, I'm like, oh, well, you know, it's not this. And Megan's like, just call it like it is. I'm like, oh.
Yes, no, there are a ton of scammers. So now that I think we're getting people are trusting us now, and we're here to do good. So they can't really push us away.
Right.
But yeah, so it's, I don't know, we have our struggles here and there, but again, we're Black and it's never going to change. So you just got to
manage what it is. Because I mean, honestly, regardless of what's happening in the world, like you all's bond and understanding have to be like that solid. So how have you all figured out like what your balance and flow is? Like, did you guys have a long time friendship before getting into business, or did you kind of do that together at the same time? Like, how is that growing together as business partners? Like, how has that journey been?
Started as business partners, ended up as like best friends, but it's because I think we've always just been really honest with one another. And we've always been very intentional in our partnership because we both consume a lot of content, podcasts, read articles, like you name it. And so we have tried our best to learn from who has come before us. So if anything arises where we're like, hey, I think it's a good idea for us to sit down and discuss what is Megan good at? What is Janine good at? What are Megan's weaknesses? What are Janine's weaknesses? And what we found is that we complement each other very well. Where Megan is strong, I am not so strong. Where I am strong, she's not so strong. So that was a very intentional piece about the relationship. But just as we started going, I mean, we would always just be very vulnerable with one another and be like, girl, I'm struggling right now. I'm like, this is really tough. And she'd be like, babe, I'm struggling too. And just kind of like just maintaining that level of openness, I think has really contributed to the success of our partnership. Because even if we need to have those difficult conversations, it will never end up in somebody screaming or someone throwing something, or like, that's just neither of our styles. We don't do that. We are both mature women who are both confident in ourselves as individuals and have no problem gassing the other one up when they do something great. And so I think that has been a learned thing over the past 4 years, is just, again, being intentional and then learning as much as you can from other people's mistakes so that you can come out on top.
Right. And I think another important piece that a lot of people probably don't know, our foundation, Janine and I both come from Caribbean families. And I think our upbringing has a lot to do with both kind of have the same principles and morals throughout life and business. So it really works well with our partnership and understanding how to navigate people and also relationships.
Right. Very true.
That's powerful. No, for sure. Because I think that openness and having those conversations is like necessary. And even now, so like a lot of people are being a little bit more open to, you know, going for their dreams and like opening business and things like that, but not so taking into account that they may not be business people, you know, like you may not know how to run a business. And so I think that's like the beauty of partnerships, is being able to like leverage each other's like strengths and weaknesses. Okay. So can you give us a time where, you know, you guys had to really finesse a situation and use each other's strengths and weaknesses to like kind of strategize to get to whatever y'all were trying to finesse and get? Like, can y'all give us a short story? Because I'm sure just business in general, like I'm sure you're finessing the whole time. A lot of this is finesse in the beginning period. But if there's a moment where you like, girl, we really finessed that and made that happen, like, can we please get one of those moments?
What can we say without biting us in the butt? Because this is going to be on YouTube. Just kidding.
Smart. She's smart. She's smart. She's smart.
Let me think.
Listen, now I'm very careful about what I say because I know it can come back. What did we finesse that I'm like?
Girl, we finessed.
Oh, I know, Janine. What about when we first started? when we first started the Doi pop-up co-working, and we would we had really no numbers at the beginning, but we would have to tell businesses we had numbers in order for them to give us their space. But fortunately enough, we ended up bringing in the numbers, but we would just finesse the amount of people that we had as members or that were going to show up, and then stress about like, oh my God, we have to have 60 women or 90 women come to this space, but it ended up working out.
So y'all had to do like a presentation or a deck or something, or
just present numbers,
numbers.
But the funny thing is that when now that we have a space and people want to use our space, Megan and I will be like, they finessed us. They finessed us, but because we were like, but
I don't even get mad. I don't even get mad at them. I'm like, you know what? Shout out to you because you gotta make it pay.
That is hilarious. Okay, so I mean, what are the requirements? Like, what are venues looking for when they're wanting to, when you know, people are wanting to partner? Like, what does numbers look like? Is it like you want to make sure that you all's audience is the same? You want to make sure that they can get in the amount of foot traffic? Like, what are you requesting from them to be like, let me consider?
Well, I would say, I mean, it really depends on the venue. So we can just use a really basic, a coffee shop, for example, that you see that's not very busy. I mean, obviously they're selling coffee, so they want to bring people in that are going to buy coffee. So co-working and coffee go hand in hand. So that was a perfect like marriage right there to say, hey, we'll guarantee 50 people working out of here for 4 to 6 hours that will be buying coffee and pastries all day. So that's like a win-win for them and gives them exposure. And now, you know, social media is big. So they're looking for content, sharing content with them. as well. So there's a lot. I mean, it really just depends on the business, but I would say obviously if it's a restaurant, coffee shop,
Right.
they definitely want to make sure that they're able to sell the food or the coffee, and then content is always good for them.
So
And
what's
then
been
for
some of
us-
your successful like marketing strategies to get people in the door? Because, you know, people do events all the time. And I always tell people, like,
Right.
some people get discouraged when they're like, oh, I see a lot of people doing this. Or, yeah, I just saw something similar to my concept. There's nothing new under the sun. So it's a matter of you, like, bringing your special sauce to the table to be able to, like, really do
Right.
and execute on the vision that you have in your head. So what were some of the creative things that you guys implemented to be like, look, these people agree, so we need to get these people in the door?
So I think for us, it varies.
Right.
Because for us, we look at two things. We look at potential in terms of how convicted you are in whatever it is that you want to host. And I'm speaking from a venue community perspective, how convicted you are and how, like, what work have you done in the past? And then two, the numbers. So I think for us, we've had girls who have come to us and say, hey, it won't be a lot of women. However, I know that this project will be of a large impact. We've executed it before. And so there have been times when we've taken like a bet on these two women and they ended up having like such a successful event, and they were able to impact, 50 women who came into the space. So I think at that level, that was a very valuable partnership, because not only were we able to get connected to some of these women on an intimate level, but they were then able to make their impact. And then I would say marketing from a numbers perspective is thinking, how many people of quality are you able to bring into our space? So for example, we did a partnership with Catalyst Miami, who's a large nonprofit organization within Miami, and they have some clout. And a lot of people know who they are, and they have like funders, they have a lot of people are connected to the community. So that for us, yes, there were, maybe 100 people who attended their event, but the reach that we had in building that partnership was solid because it fulfilled several requirements. People of quality, people who are high up within Miami, people who could potentially come in the space and be members, and then people who could potentially come in and rent the space. So it's like, you really have to, it's a full 360 analysis. I wouldn't just say we have one level of criteria. It's like, you have to really analyze everything from a whole. But I would say those were some of the things. And then another way that we partnered was just content. If they were able to showcase our space and then they agreed to pay for the photographer, then it was seamless for us because we were able to cut down our marketing budget. So we could get their reach, they would post it on social media, and then we got those assets to be able to then use it for our marketing.
Right. So I think honestly the best, and when it comes to marketing, and I think this goes for any small to large corporation, the best marketing tactics are partnerships, because that's how you're going to get the biggest reach with anything. You can pour a ton of money into social media, ads, this and that, and you may get your return. But when you can partner with a company that has the same vision as you have and your visions align, then your events or whatever you're marketing is always successful.
So agreed. And so I want to now pivot into just being a woman in general, right? So, okay, we're business women, we're career focused, we're, goal driven, knocking things out. Is, just life is I want to say that we're all in our late 20s.
We are
30, in our late 20s. And so has the whole relationship, family, are those conversations, those thoughts, do you just like, look, I'm working on my business right now, I'm just not going to think about it? Or, do you generally have moments of like, I'm feeling X, Y, and Z?
I definitely have moments. Girl, I want my fine man. Yes, I do. No, but
are Black career-focused women still dreaming about?
Yes, I would hope so. Yeah. I would hope so, because it can very much so happen the way you want it, the way you would hope for it to happen. I don't think it's like too late for us. And I hate the idea of like, oh, once you get past a certain age, it's too late. It's not too late. But I just think that your time, it's not my time yet.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely picky. So I need to stop. And one thing I learned, and I mean, Precious, we've had this conversation. I've just learned that I have
I'm like, okay, is that the man we were talking
No.
no.
Hi, boy.
Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hello,
That's his
sir.
voice. Hello, ladies.
No, but no, it's not the time.
Okay, well, it's good that you know, I just think it's good for us to just honor our emotions and like be real with ourselves. And, like,
No, I definitely don't though. I just ignore it until it like really gets to me.
yeah. I mean, we have our moments because I mean, even for myself, you know, it's like I'm working really hard. I want X, Y, and Z, but it's like it's still on our minds. And so
Right.
I mean, just some of the things that I do just to not become that woman that's like, I don't need nobody. I have my Pinterest board. I have my Pinterest board, and I'm continuously like, if you go on my Pinterest, you'll be like, Precious is such a romantic. Like, I have visions, and I'm just like keeping the vision alive. Although I don't know where he is, I'm just like, unless he's like,
no, you do know where he is.
Honestly,
making a business deal right now somewhere across the world.
You're right.
I'm sure.
You're absolutely right.
Quarantined in one of his vacation homes.
Paint the vision. Y'all, Megan's adding to the vision. But yeah, I had said that I feel like in this next phase, or just in this millennial generation, I can speak of because I'm in it. I feel like, you know how they used to have like arranged marriages and like other cultures and the parents would select the partner or whatever. I feel like we should have, I haven't created the term yet, but like community arranged marriages where we have like people need to get introductions. Like I need a letter of recommendation from somebody that I know so I can know if this is like a real thing, because I'm not the dating apps. How do you guys feel about dating apps?
No, it doesn't work. And listen, it's not going to work for you. We already discussed this. It's not going to work. It's only going to work for the people, and I mean no offense when I say this, it's only going to work for the people that are okay with living very minimalistic lifestyles. You're not going to find your CEO, your mark. Yeah, you're not going to find that on a dating app. You're going to find him sitting at a bar or a gala that you attend with a business partner or
See, that's why I feel like, you know, like real life interactions. I feel from an entrepreneur perspective, and just, you know, we're so ambitious and there's really no ceiling of what we can do or what we want to accomplish. Right. So finding someone that's that ambitious and that driven, I'm like, I don't think they're on an app. I really don't.
No.
But yeah, so I how would you guys feel about, because I was like, I don't want to make it a thing, but it's more so a concept, and I'm gonna make a video about it. But I feel like we should adopt the practice of we have to like intentionally introduce our community to other people. I feel like that's like the best way. It's like taking like
I don't have anyone good to introduce to you though.
No, I can't agree. I'm like,
it's like networking though. That's like, I think that's putting yourself, and I come from a different perspective because I was married and now I'm technically still married, but about to be divorced.
Oh no.
Girl.
Oh, okay. So the process, girl. I'm like, okay. I'm like, do I need
no. It wasn't
coffee for wine. It's too early.
No, girl. No. It wasn't my choice, but in it always comes good, right? In every life experience, and it sucks. But I realize, and very much to what Megan is saying, I realize that I have to have somebody who's on my level mentally and who wants the same things out of life. And so you're right. Megan was right in that you won't find him on an app, because it's like he's somewhere he's way more focused than, you know, scrolling through an app at the moment, unless he's really wanting and being intentional about finding a mate. But I think that those types of community arrangements, if there is somebody in my network who I know once we get there that is like dope and that is very wealthy in terms of like what lifestyle my friends want to live and what their ambition level is, I think that does need to happen. And I feel like it does happen in certain things, because I kind of look at it like business in a sense that, like, if you see somebody or a company who you could value find value from, then find somebody who knows that person and then make that introduction.
Right. No, I agree. I think it does happen. I guess it's just more so keeping it a part of the conversation of like making it a priority for us to, you know, if we identify someone that we know deserves to be with X, Y, and Z, just making it, I guess it's more so making it a priority. Because I think we are, you know, necessarily like networking to, you know, of course there's a mutual interest, but essentially we're just very focused on like hitting our next goal in our business and different things like that. But just having that human element and knowing that like my sisters or my brothers are looking out for me in the sense of like, you know, we're now at a space where we should all be looking for that partner, because I don't think we're going to reach that level until we come in partnership with who we really want to like build with and create a legacy with. And so I know I've been kind of going back and forth on, and then these are the thoughts where it's like, you just have to surrender and like let God do its thing, because there'll be times where I'm like, should I get a house right now? I really don't want to take care of a house by myself. I should just like stay in Midtown until like I have somebody I can like live with and create a life with.
Right.
But then my grandmother, who never wanted to be married and only wanted her kids, but she's still married. She's like, I just wanted my kids. She was like, you need to have a house before you turn 30, 3-bedroom. Like she's like breaking down these expectations of me. And I'm like, I know that was like the ideal thing back in the 60s and 70s, but we're in 2020 now, and actually buying a house is not really, it's a dream of mine, but who wants to take care of a house?
Exactly, girl. That lawn is costly.
It is.
Like, get a condo.
I'm like, I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
And yeah, so are there any like, what are you all's non-negotiables right now? I mean, Janine, if you, I don't know if you're like taking time to just be with self, but you know.
Oh, girl, I have.
No, she has her non-negotiables.
I have non-negotiables.
Okay, non-negotiables real quick. I would love to know what you all's non-negotiables are.
Non-negotiables.
You can go first.
I'm going to go. Thanks, boy. No, I have taken a lot of time, and I realized where I got married very young. So I realized where I didn't develop as a woman. So with that, I know who I want to be, and I know who I need to be with in order to build that legacy that you were talking about. Needs to be a real estate mogul, meaning have or in the process of selling several properties, because I want to be in investments and I want to own several properties and run my business out of properties. Therefore, for that partnership, that's a non-negotiable. He needs to be where I want to be financially. I don't want someone who's on the same level as I am, because then there's no growth for each other. It's like, okay, we're both here, cool. No, I need somebody who's a little bit above me so that I can learn from them. I need them to be very faithful in a sense of like always being truthful and transparent and honest, because that is something that I did not have in my marriage. And I realize where that lack of transparency really can screw a relationship up. And then the last thing, he does need to be a man of faith, because my ex-husband did not believe in God. And I see that that's where our level of understanding of what love is and what the sanctity of marriage is and persevering and pushing through means to me. And I learned a lot of that through God's love. And so if my partner doesn't have that understanding, then it's maybe a little harder for them to value what I believe marriage to be. And so I thought about that a lot. And so those are my non-negotiables. And of course, he got to be like, my ex-husband, he was average height. I need a tall nigga. Oh, can I say nigga?
Yeah, okay. Hey.
A tall man. I apologize for saying that. It was a colloquialism that people of color often utilize in the same company.
Love it. Okay, Megan, what about you?
So one, he has to be financially wealthy, and I mean like some serious wealth.
So clearly y'all have dated men that are older.
Oh yeah, I know. Grandpas.
Okay, all right.
I'm okay with that.
You said grandpas.
Grandpa, yes, he can be a granddad. I don't care. He's just not gonna have any young kids. Can't do the young kids. So I need him to either be in real estate, tech, somewhere in that realm, line of work. Also, just be nice, honest, and loyal. And then what else? And fun.
I like to do the same things you do.
Fun. Yes. I need him to be fun.
What's
Like,
your idea of fun? Because mine
just
has
like,
changed over the years.
don't be so, I hate when people are just like so tight all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Like,
Yeah.
loosen up, crack a joke.
Yeah,
Be
outgoing,
yourself.
funny.
You know, be out. Yes. Like, I want him to want to do like spontaneous things and just be fun.
Okay, so my non-negotiables is that they have to have a wealthy mindset, has to be a man of God, has to be a family man, has to make me laugh, and has to do karaoke with me.
That's dope.
So
That means that he is fun and that he's not afraid. Meaning
Yes,
not afraid.
I love when people do karaoke. Yes, it means a lot.
Yes.
It's a specific type of guy that does karaoke. You have some guys, you know, just too cool for school, but I'm like, yeah, I definitely want him to be able to do karaoke. So,
Right.
So this has been fun. So we're gonna wrap up with like a rapid fire question.
Oh, I also do have another. Maybe
what?
this one isn't appropriate, but in full transparency.
Passionate.
Passionate. Okay, we're gonna leave it there.
Passionate?
No, meaning, is that what you were talking? You were talking about. You said it wasn't appropriate. If it was, what I'm thinking.
Yes, probably.
A nicer way is passionate.
Look at that partnership, that collaboration.
Girl, at this point, it's kind of scary. Sometimes Megan, like, we literally send each other the same things on Instagram at nearly the same time. It's just kind of weird at this point. It's kind of weird.
Y'all have this like kinetic energy that y'all have together. Right. Okay. So y'all ready?
Yes.
So some of these questions, the first like few questions will be more so about, it'll either be you or Janine in regards to partnership things. So like, who's the first person to hop on a conference call?
Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who responds?
I'm usually a minute late.
Who responds to the company DMs?
Megan.
I do.
Who takes the best notes?
Janine.
I do.
Okay, who creates the best captions?
I'm not good at captions.
I'm not good either, so I don't know.
But
I think you did a good one today, Club Home. That was a cute one.
Girl, honestly, I just want my captions just to be who I am. I'm just tired of the thinking so deep into these captions.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting a little bit more personal. So oatmeal or smoothie?
She likes both.
I mean, you can pick this for yourself.
Yeah. No, Janine, you would not have either, but because
girl, that's a lie. I eat oatmeal, just not like homemade oatmeal.
What about you, Megan?
I would do oatmeal.
Oatmeal. Audio book or real book?
Real book.
Audio.
Talk or text?
Talk.
Online shop or shop in store?
Online.
What's the last thing you ordered from Amazon?
I think a bathing suit. It's in my box right now, but I'm debating if I still want to get it because I'm
what did I order? I ordered goat milk soap, papaya soap, retinol serum. Okay. That was my last order.
Okay. And what's your definition of love?
Something that's unconditional.
Yes, definitely. It's unconditional. It doesn't go away, even if you hate the person. Mm-hmm. Seriously, like I can't ever imagine saying like, oh, I don't love my father anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's how I think about love.
And the same for you, Janine?
Yeah, it's unconditional. It's something that like, even if you're mad at the person, whatever, it's just, you still love each other. And it's also a decision. A lot of times it's like, you have to work on loving somebody in a relationship and just in like with friendships too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's some encouraging words?
That's one of the things like I don't necessarily agree with like, it's a decision because when like I said, I compare it to like the love that I have for like,
it's still a choice you have to make every day.
It is.
But that I don't think of like I don't process it like that.
Okay.
Well, from me, from a marriage, it's a decision because there are going to be days when you like make the other person mad, or when they like disgust you, or you make them upset or whatever. But I think that to stay in, it's like not all feelings. It's like a commitment to, I'm going to love you. I'm going to stay faithful to you. If it is the right person, again, everybody's experience with that is different. But at least for mine, a lot of the times I had to decide to continue to love my partner. Even when Jason left, I was broken. I was like hurt. I was sad. But when I decided to forgive him, I decided to continue to love him. So I think that's what I mean by like, it's a decision.
Agreed. So what
But
are
I
some
get it.
encouraging words that you ladies can give to everyone in this time, and just looking forward to just pushing through the year?
I would say keep going. It's just a season. We're eventually going to get through it, but you just have to keep going.
Yes.
I second that. That's
honestly
everything. That's the sauce. That's the secret sauce. Be
is.
honest with yourself. If you don't feel like you want to keep going, then don't. But if you want to keep going and you want to reach your goal, then go. But I second everything she said because it's real.
Yeah. And honestly, one of the things I freaking hate is when entrepreneurs are asked like, oh, what advice would you give someone? And they give you this long-winded, annoying answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's simple. Tell people to keep going. That's it. There is literally no rule book of what to do. The only thing you can tell someone is you just have to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say some of my best mentors, like my dad, like he'll talk a lot sometimes, but if I ever like tell him like, oh, there's an issue, he's like, okay, we'll just keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like keep going. That's all you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best advice.
Well, I appreciate you ladies for sharing your light, sharing your journey. I think there's a lot of great takeaways from this conversation. This will be available on YouTube, post this. So I'll definitely send you all the links so you can blast it out. I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to like have this conversation, and then, 6 months from now, we're like, look at what we've done. So it's definitely something to celebrate.
No, definitely. Thank you for having us.
Yes, and I'm excited to be joining you all. What was that? That's going to be like in the next 2 weeks or so on your platform. So yeah, this is collaboration. We collaborate and making things happen. So I hope you'll have a productive, awesome weekend. And we're hitting the half mark of the year, so we got to really clear it up.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, I know.
The year's like basically almost over. But yeah, I love you, and I'll definitely be in touch.
Bye, girl. Thank you.
Bye, girl.
Bye.
Thank you.